alive again.
Yes.
Did you hurt yourself again?
I mean, it's very easy, okay? Coordination is not my strong suit.
Sappho is not made for this adventuring business. She even hurts herself clapping.
No. Sappho is very dexterous. Faye is not.
Ah, I see.
I get that. Either way. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Red Sand Rising. I am Charlie, or Cheesy, as your GM for this adventure. And with me, as always, our lovely group. Say hi, group.
Hi, group.
Hello.
All right, I'm once again Giovanni Vellarosa, played by Elias. And I'm not a dwarf, but Giovanni is.
You sure about that?
I've been told so, at least.
Hey everyone, I'm Faye, and I'll be playing Sappho again. The bard who is way too much into poems.
Hello, my name is Peter. I'll be playing Tippler's Bane, the mushroom ranger who rather would be a druid.
Oh.
Hello, and I'm Sylvia, and I'm back playing Jiji, our chaotic spell-slinging wizard goblin.
And we are all back in quite the cliffhanger. As last we left off, our Sandpoint adventurers spent some time in town, some of it alone and some of it together. On the day of the ritual, the party met Odrani and listened to what she was telling them for what they are expected to do during the ritual, both dealing with any unwelcomed undead and being the voice that speaks with Nualia. The group prepared for upcoming rituals with ghost oil and placed themselves around Odrani and Father Xantis, both of them dancing under the moonlight to start the ritual exactly at 12 midnight. Though things didn't keep quiet for long, as about 10 minutes into the ritual, an angry townfolk's mob arrived, led by Charn Scarnetti, the son of the Scarnetti family, shouting that this ritual should be stopped immediately. Party, you hear them ganging up on the entrance to the cathedral. Where is your attention at the moment?
How far is that away from us?
Not very far. It's about a couple of 100 feet away. Not 100 feet away. I'm going to say around 100 feet from where you are until there. So you can have like the ritual in sight if you would like to go to the entrance while keeping an eye on the ritual to deal with the mob that is very upset and clearly found out about the ritual somehow.
And Giovanni just turns around and is like, hey, wow, these ghosts arrived very timely manner and also looking very lively. Is this normal? Kind of questioningly, askingly looking towards Odrani.
As she is mid-ritual, though her ritual requires her a little bit of speaking, she can give you a gaze of like nothing is like she looks around and she sees that nothing is there at the moment. And she seems to be a little more worried at the moment from the crowd, because if the crowd interrupt the ritual, they're going to have to do that next day for the full moon again, if it will be possible. But today they still already have the like element of surprise a little bit.
I mean, Sappho will shuffle, just, not trying to disrupt our two dancers. And just to the rest, please keep them safe. I'll try to talk to them and persuade them to, just be calm. And I hope to be back in time to talk to Nualia. I'll try to hurry, but I don't know. Let's see.
I would join her.
Yep.
And just say, well, I'll quickly come with you just in case things get out of hand.
Yeah, let's stay together in at least
they
pairs.
seem angry.
You do get a nod of approval from Xantis, as if like, yeah, that seems to be more important at the moment. You know that the ritual takes about an hour, So it's unlikely to be so quickly. You will have time later on probably to speak to Nualia, because if she is summoned, you still have 50 minutes until the ritual would end. So that's...
I turn over to Tipp as he's leaving and just shouts, "Tell those people that I'll make their gardens wither away. I've gardened like half of these ungrateful people's gardens, man." And then I'll let him walk away and stay here with Jiji guarding the ritual.
So you're splitting up.
Seems like it.
Because you do get a sense from...
Like, we're not super far away from each other, I would say. Like, just about 30 feet, I think, is the maximum that we're away from each other. Because we do want to keep an eye. But, yeah, Tipp and Sappho are at the forefront. Jiji a little bit more in between. And Giovanni is the one closest to our dancers.
You do get a sense from what Father Xantus said that they seem to be putting more importance on the mob at the moment. So they feel like if you're all going there, they would be holding the fort for now. But that's up to you.
Alright, if it seems that the ghosts won't be appearing for a few more minutes, then I would also join to check on the crowd.
I'd stay somewhere in the middle so that I'm still in casting range for the bones, basically, or if something were to appear for Father Xantus, but I'm also in earshot of everyone else.
Perfect. So we have Jiji still closer to the bones and the rest kind of catching up the guard in the front of the cathedral, where you have the lovely Charn Scarnetti, a middle-aged man with bright blonde hair and a mustache that covers just above the lip, and a small kind of beard, kind of like a goatee beard, but not exactly. You all know Charn Scarnetti because they are one of the more unpleasant people you can think of that live in Sandpoint. They are from the founding families, which means they live in the richer part of the city, of the town, and they have always been with their nose up for being royalty. And as they lead the mob, you do see there are quite a lot of people with them, though it doesn't seem like the whole town is here, as they just yell towards you. "How dare you do something so blasphemous as taunting the dead and toying with evil spirits? This should not be heard of."
I would interrupt him here and try and shout louder, "Shut up!"
Tipp, I'm not sure if you're helping. Tipp. You're right, but maybe not helping.
As response to being told shut up, Sappho got the right idea. They shout even louder and rally the people behind them. "This needs to stop now! She tried to destroy our city before. How dare you try to forgive her?"
Okay, let's all take a breather here. Let's all take a deep breath in. Do one with me. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And then we can talk about this. This is not anything evil, I promise. And let us explain very calmly. We have helped the city here before, so maybe give us just an ounce of trust, okay? And she's not addressing him, but basically crowd behind him, because she knows that he's a dickhead. And she's not even gonna bother with him.
Let me introduce our social encounter subsystem. This is an event where tensions are high. I'm going to give you a couple of options to how you can reduce the tension. And obviously things can go to the worse or to the better. And after I give you options, if you have any original idea, something that you feel like none of those fit you, but you have something else in mind, please give me as an option, and we can see what your characters would be doing to basically reduce and calm the mob down. You can try to appeal to the mob or their sense of civility and try to instill a sense of even shame for acting so uncivilized by attempting a society check. You can try a diplomacy check to make an impression on the crowd to soothe their anger, or just promise that you will do your best to keep everything in safe, and you yourselves would put a stop to the ritual if something seems like it's going to a dire direction. You can try to lie to the crowd to tell them that the ritual is not happening tonight after all, or that Abstelar is not present at the moment, he's attending a sick patient, or any other distraction you would like to do with a deception roll. And you can also try to match the crowd's fury with your own, and threatening legal actions or warning that a mob might be making things worse by distracting or even hinting a possibility of a fight that you might be starting with an intimidate roll. And of course, if you have your own opinions or ideas, you're welcome to supply them.
Can we make a dance battle?
Dance off.
Do you think we will be able to just, if we,
let's settle
let's settle this
Are
old
you trying
school
to advocate for a performance
dance
roll?
battle? Let's see how Sappho has some plans.
I can tell you, I can let you know in
but
advance. You
let's
can each roll a single roll, or if you would like to aid someone else, you can aid someone else, but then you don't get to roll on your own.
Can I participate from being not
Yes.
there directly, or like from basically staying a bit behind? Or am I completely out of the rolls?
No, you can participate since they do see you and hear you because it's not that far away. So you can still let your voice be heard, or if you want to do something else, do that.
Then I'd aid someone. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, you can aid someone. Absolutely. Awesome.
Can I use my sailing lore to get this whole situation to smooth sailing?
I will give
no,
you a
I'm
hero
kidding.
point
Have
fun,
you been
but
playing
I'm
a
gonna
lot
say
of-
no.
I will use my intimidation. That's what I started off
Yeah.
with in the scene anyway, and I'm pretty good at that.
Have you played too many connections?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, absolutely. No, I'll go with intimidation for sure.
Yeah, and you can do different things. Like one of you can intimidate while the other one is using diplomacy. They don't contradict each other.
Great.
I will be most definitely trying to, give us some joyful background music as well.
Yeah.
So Sappho has this really fun, cool thing of a musical accompaniment where I can get some orchestral music to play and the shifts and changes to match my behavior, and it gives me a +1 bonus performance checks, and the duration is 1 minute when I do it, but I would also, because I am indeed a bard, try to combine with the lingering composition, which is a free action, to add some more flourish so that it oh no, it's just one round. Oh, I should maybe read. I'm not good at reading, because it's only if I have one that is for 1 round and not for a whole minute.
I
If
do
they
want to say
change
to
musical
Sappho
accompaniment.
that her declaring a dance off would need a little more to convince the people to let go of their anger and start dancing. So
Yes, but I think Sappho will go for trying to be calming and being just very diplomatic, but using just the orchestra music behind her to just, help, because music influences humans and
how about
other
this?
humanoid types.
I'll allow you
not
to
just
use
humans.
the plus that you get, but you're still gonna roll diplomacy.
Yes, I would 100% need to do that. It's just there's going to
Perfect.
be beautiful, beautiful music. And Sappho will be appealing to the people's senses that this is nothing like that, as I started out with, to extend the trust in us that will keep them safe, that we know what we're doing, that this is not an act of evil but an act of good, and to give us a trust as we have been helping Sandpoint before.
Perfect. How is Giovanni approaching this?
No, Giovanni is just like looking over the crowd and recognizing countless faces of people who he has done gardening jobs for, even been contracted by the Scarnetti family before.
Absolutely.
For the odds and ends, and an anger just starts building inside him, and he comes up with a plan of trying to convince these people that all their gardens and all their beautiful gardens that Giovanni has worked on will wither away instantly if they don't stop this nonsense at once, even though it's just completely untrue. But I mean, a lot of those people have seen what Giovanni can do, and it wouldn't be out of the imagination. So now the question is, will Giovanni be able to use some kind of like nature roll or like some kind of thing? Because like in terms of raw charisma and raw like power of being able to persuade people to do stuff, Giovanni is not the best at that.
Sounds like deception to me.
So I mean, maybe there's also a way to like kind of like, I don't know, use like a mix of both, or like one nature roll and one charisma roll and take like the average of both or something like that. So I'm not sure.
You could also use like as a third option, if that's something that you might be interested in, you do have society that you can use as well as one of the options, if you're more interested in that.
Society was an option.
Yes,
okay.
Society was an option to tell them that they are uncivilized the way that they are behaving in this evening.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Then I'll use society.
Who is Jiji aiding?
I think I'm aiding Giovanni because it's the closest to what Jiji would also do, of like doing a performance roll. I just roll as well. Is it open or hidden?
Your roll to aid is open. In this scenario specifically as well, your rolls to see how you affect the crowd are open. Your Gigi's roll to aid is a DC 15, so we have a success for Gigi's aid. Exactly. We have a success for Gigi's aid with a 15. We have a success for Tippler and their intimidation with a 26. A success with Sappho with 23 for her diplomacy. And we have a fail for Giovanni for the society with 19.
My aid doesn't help? It doesn't add to Giovanni's roll?
It doesn't reach the DC for the society roll.
I see the circumstance bonus. You basically just hear Jiji shouting from the background of like, you always say goblins are incivilized, but look at you yourself now.
And Giovanni is just like, all your gardens shall wither away if you don't cease this at once. And it's just like rambling on about the gardens, and people are like, what the hell is he even on about right now?
Sorry. Please describe what you do.
Yeah, so as I see Sappho is sort of engaging the wider crowd, you would see Tippler sort of walking through the ranks of the crowd and looking at individual people, just like sort of shaking his head in disappointment, and then like engaging them one-on-one and saying like, you don't want to be here. Come on, get out of here. And like really like being super, super intense, like, come on, get out of here. You have better places to be than here. You don't want to make me mad. Like, you don't want to see what happens when I reach for my hammer, right? And like one by one he manages then to like sort of thin out the crowd and make them like not too many, but a few that will eventually leave, and like maybe he's right.
You don't want to see Tipp disappointed. It's worse when he's angry. So we have Tipp going between the people in the crowd, intimidating the ones that are there to leave, as you do not want to be here and you don't want them to reach their weapons. How is Sappho looking as she succeeds in her role?
The music shifts to just instead of it being like an angry mob to more of like sad, as in Sappho is, slightly just basically based on also what Tipp is doing, maybe Sappho's a bit disappointed in everyone. That they would believe these four, her group, would aid in something evil, you know? And there's just stuff like, oh, there's... The music makes it so that, you know, people might feel a little bit guilty for having had those thoughts and believing them. But she just keeps on, like, really calmly and trying to make sure everyone understands that, really, we will keep everyone safe. And this is to lay someone to rest who has been wronged. And no one would want to be accused of something wrong or mistreated, right? Just, yeah, appealing to that.
Be it the strong voice, an unshakable voice of Tipp, frightening some people into understanding they don't want to be here, they don't want to be a part of this, or be it the honest conversation coming from Sappho with a touch of true disappointment that the people in your town would even think that you will give a hand to something evil. You see, as people start looking at each other with a shameful and sad gaze, as a lot of them understand, oh, we trust these people with our lives with other things, maybe we should trust them here as well. You manage to disperse almost all of the mob members, leaving but one Charn Scarnetti still angry and yelling as he sees the people leave them and he approaches with his anger towards them. How dare you leave? What do you think you're doing? But as they keep walking away, his yelling gets stronger, but it falls on deaf ears. As he understands, he doesn't have the power of the crowd anymore. He looks back towards all of you. This isn't over, you hear me? This isn't over. I'm gonna gather the council and we're gonna show you who's really having Sandpoint in their mind. As they wave their finger angrily to the air.
I mean, look at who's leaving your rallies. Everyone. Because they get quite bored of you. But sure, try and go ahead. And we will actually keep the city safe, as we have done before.
I stick out my tongue at him.
Scarn, you trusted me with your garden and you don't trust me with Nualia's bones. What's wrong with you? I'm disappointed in you, man.
Exactly the same, I mean, honestly. They start taking steps backwards while still waving their finger like a cartoon angry man as they keep yelling, "This isn't over, you hear me? This isn't over!" But they cave. Their crowd is gone. They have no power. And you manage to disperse the mob without anyone getting hurt.
Yet.
And no one is obstructing the ritual. Yet. And no one
I
is
know where he
obstructing
lives.
the ritual. That's true. You all know where he lives.
Well, it looks pretty over to me,
I mean,
gotta say.
he talks a big game, but there's not really much behind him. Really, I mean, barely coherent sentences he's spewing out.
Speaking of talking, Sappho, where did you even learn to talk like this? I didn't know you had that kind of ability to control a crowd.
I mean, that's, poetry is really good for this. You learn a lot of words and ways of speaking, and you really feel in poems the emotions that are, awakening inside of you. And even speeches can be kind of similar to poems if you really think about it. And Sappho looks already slightly far off of just thinking about her favorite poems right now, and the implications.
Well, thanks to that, Tipp didn't have to get his hammer dirty today, at least as of yet.
I mean, maybe we should just make sure, maybe see that the door is, or like the way here is a little bit closed off if we can do this in any way. I mean,
Yeah, you believe you can.
and just keep an ear out for anything else. What if he tries to, sneak in and...
Well, then I can still bonk his head.
Yes, but we will get in trouble if we bonk his head.
I think Charn is a man of big words, but not a man of big deeds.
And I can always, call in a favor over at the militia. So if push comes to shove, it'll be fine.
Okay. But let's focus back on the ritual. Hope there's no, if there's the ghost appearing. The wrong ghosts. Nualia's ghost we really want, but the wrong ghosts appear. We deal with them, and as I said, just, you're all a little bit better at listening around for, I just go like, oh, it's such a nice vibe, and you go like, no, this was a neck of the crack of a, of some wood, and there's actually somebody approaching. If you could just keep an ear out, because I don't want him shouting at Nualia, that would be so rude.
That would indeed be very rude. I guess as the group is trying to close the gates, making sure that no one comes in, I want to check back in on the ritual and see how that is going.
Yeah. So you look back to see how both Audrani and Xanthus are doing. It's been a couple of minutes to try to convince people to lock away. So you're now 20 minutes into the ritual out of the hour that this whole ritual takes. At the moment, nothing has appeared yet, and they both seem to be extremely concentrated into making sure they don't say the right words or don't make the wrong moves. Don't say the wrong words. They say the right words. They make sure they say the right words. I knew what I was saying.
They're secretly evil.
Wouldn't want to say the right words, yeah.
Because if it's the right words, it would actually appease Nualia.
But actually on Scarnetti's side.
Yeah, now
just
helping
pissing
the
off
other
Nualia
thing.
even more. Okay.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
You didn't think Scarnetti have friends, but look at that. During that time, around 10 minutes further in, 30 minutes since this ritual has started, is where I'm going to ask for a perception roll. Tipp already prepared his oil on the ground so he can break the hammer on the oil. So you can go back to where you placed your oil just to make sure you have everything prepared for that.
Sappho has gone back to just basically the opposite of the ritual casters again. In hopes if Nualia appears to be able to talk to her.
Yes. We have Jiji and Giovanni also fairly close to Avstalar, Xanthus, and to Audrani. 30 minutes have passed, and nothing substantial has appeared except for the mob you already dealt with. But around the 30 minutes in is where Jiji and Jiji alone starts noticing the candles flicker. The wind shifts the way that the incense smoke comes out into the sides. As Jiji, you see not one, but two creatures form themselves from the mist and the shadow of the night, with a deep understanding that their intent is to go after your spellcasters, the ritual casters. Please roll initiative.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh dear, that's not good.
Oh.
That's...
I rolled a nat 1. I might hero
have
point
hero
this
points.
actually.
I mean, yeah, that's a 17.
17, baby.
17 for me is... Oh, a total of 17.
Oh, mine is a total of 26.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I mean, it's higher.
It's
We
higher,
have
yeah.
Giovanni with 26, Sappho with 20, Tipp with 17, and Jiji with 16. Do you keep it as it is?
Yeah, I'd keep my hero points for other things.
No problem. Giovanni, while you haven't clocked it as Jiji clocked it further, you do notice them before they actually manage to fully manifest. They don't surprise you, but the one who actually got the sense before that was Jiji.
I mean, I am definitely calling out of like, wait, am I seeing things in the wind now? I was like, what?
Yeah.
Wait, over there! And just like point them out.
With Jiji doing that, which is the reason why you don't have a surprise or like off guard specifically here. Giovanni, that's you.
All right. So these manifestations, these spirits, are like visible enough for them not to be concealed or hidden from us anymore.
Yes.
Okay. So what do I actually exactly see when I look at one of these?
What you see is a being made of twisted shadow. You can see two bright eyes out of this kind of very slendery, slinky, sharp body that looks as if you could have taken the shadow around you, the darkness around you, and twist it into a humanoid being. That's what you would have seen.
All right. So not the most friendly looking dudes over there.
No.
Don't seem like the kind of guys you can have a nice conversation with.
Not really.
So I'm thinking Giovanni would have probably like calmed down his elemental aura when talking to the crowd, and then that entire thing was going on. So first of all, Giovanni will reopen his kinetic gates, channeling the power of water and wood and aura around him once again.
Yep.
And as part of that, also do a ranged elemental blast with like by forming the water droplets into like little needles formed out of water and hitting the creature that has manifested like more on his side, because like they're kind of on opposite sides, and one of them is closer to Sappho and Giovanni while the other one is closer to Tipp and Jiji.
Yes.
So Giovanni will focus on the closer one to him. So that's going to be channel elements to activate the aura and a one action ranged mental blast of the water type, targeting that creature. So time to roll. Let's see, don't let me down, dice. That's the ranged one. Alright, and that's a 17 on the die. Okay, that's a good start.
That's a
plus 11
critical hit. Critical hit against the shadow.
Alright, no shadow manifestations on Giovanni's watch right here. And there's gonna be 2d8 bludgeoning damage, which is
The shadow's not pretty enough for him.
gonna be 2 total damage.
Which you can see is being swallowed in and not actually hitting the shadow.
Well, that kind of sucks. So Giovanni is kind of, I'm guessing from that they either are resistant or fully immune to like kind of more physical ways of dealing damage, which kind of makes sense. It seems like a kind of ghostly.
You did prepare for that, exactly, yes.
Makes sense. But it is part of channeling the aura anyways. Like while Giovanni was focusing on getting that aura up, like that channel kind of just happened automatically with some of the droplets shooting out at the ghost. So Giovanni has 2 actions left, and they seem to be intently like going towards the 2 ritual casters, right?
Yes.
Alright, so we have to attempt to stop them somehow. Actually, with a second action, Giovanni would like to try to figure out something about those creatures, or figure out if there's even a chance that Giovanni would know anything about these creatures.
Sure.
Would you tell me what kind of knowledge rolls would work on this?
It's going to be a religion.
Quick question. I've never played a kineticist. Isn't your channel elements also an action?
Yes, channel elements is 1 action, as part of which you can use a 1 action elemental blast or a 1 action stance impulse.
That's cool.
Yeah, kineticists are interesting.
I've never played the class, so...
Yeah, same, honestly. Only ran to.
Religious things are not really Giovanni's ballpark. Giovanni will just do something that he knows has a chance of affecting them, and pulls out one of the bottles of holy water from his inventory and throws it at the creature.
Yes, please.
So draw the holy water and then throw it at the ghost. Although Giovanni has already attacked and is kind of like panicking a little bit, so his accuracy might not be the best on that one. And Giovanni actually is a little bit too far away from the ghost to have a great throw with holy water. But Giovanni, not the most experienced in throwing stuff, will attempt it anyways. And it's a 15 on the die, and unfortunately due to all the penalties, it's just a straight up 15.
Sadly, a 15 is a miss.
Alright, and that's Giovanni's turn.
Following Giovanni is actually the shadow Giovanni was aiming at and trying to hit.
Actually, small retcon. Holy water has the splash trait, so it should deal 1 splash damage, I think.
You do see that the splash does do a little bit of damage, yes.
Alright, and with a grand total of 1 damage dealt, Giovanni's turn is over.
Which is then going to be their turn. They were going to go towards the people that are chanting, but then they got thrown with holy water, which they definitely did not like. They're gonna go fly 30 feet all the way to Giovanni. And then they're going to try to attack him twice, as they use their very sharp shadow claws to hit Giovanni. First hit is a critical hit with a 32,
Ouch.
which is going to be 18 points of damage. You then see that instead of actually lifting their other hand and hitting you, they grab into something inside of Giovanni's body and start pulling it out. Please mark that you are enfeebled 1 as they start stealing away your shadow.
Dang.
That is going to be.
Does it feel
this
like
Peter
anything
Pan?
in particular when it does that?
The more, as they start to pull something out of you, you feel like you're getting a little weaker, as if something from your essence is being separated from your own body, which is hence the enfeeble situation. It does take them an action to do so, so they don't attack you twice; they only attack you once. But you do feel like whatever they're doing, whatever they are pulling at, they might be able to fully take it out if they keep doing so. It's not a good feeling.
Alright, so it basically just like jammed its hand inside my chest and pulled out part of my shadow. Did I get that correctly?
Exactly.
Damn, that's pretty metal. Alright, Giovanni definitely like takes like a hit, and you notice him like kind of slouching over, and like his face distorts in pain. But he catches himself within a moment, is like, that's right, fight me man to man, you ugly beast, I'll put you to the ground.
Non-gendered shadow. Following the shadow's turn is going to be Sappho. At the moment, it's only these 2 shadows. You don't see a spirit of Nualia just yet.
Which is good. So Sappho had used the Wand of Pocket Library earlier this day, as I said, to I think last session, to have access to knowledge about ghosts, and will activate it in this moment. So just whipping out a little book, and would love to do a recall knowledge on them. And as usual, when it comes to religion, I'll be using the cheat code being a bard and using bardic lore, because
Yes, please. You can give me a roll.
and there's also, I just want to send out the rest of the description, because Pocket Library is also, if I would get a critical failure, I would just have a normal failure instead. And if I'm successful and the subject is a creature, you gain additional information or context about the creature. So I want to know, like, especially on like what are these shadow beings especially like vulnerable to? Is there maybe more than what we already knew? Is there maybe some things?
As you try to find a page in your little booklet, and you try to recall knowledge on these creatures, and sadly at the moment nothing comes to mind.
Oh, I forgot that I had a different thing as well. I'm just... Should have used my Lawmaster's Etude. It's okay. I will be dealing with that another time. But then I will give us all a little bit of a boost. And give us all a bit of a courage. The Courageous Anthem. Then just for good measure, because don't like how they look and what they did to Giovanni, just casting Shield on myself.
Perfect. That is Sappho. Tipp. That's you.
I would first of all smash the bottle of ghost oil on the floor with my hammer to apply it to my hammer.
No problem.
That's one action. Yeah, I will try and demoralize the one next to me. Oh, come on. That's a 2 on the die. I will actually hero point that. Because
go for it. You have 2.
I cannot critical fail. That would be terrible.
Yeah.
So that's a 16 total.
Why? Don't you have intimidating prowess?
I should have
A 20, because you won't have the -4 for this.
Mm-hmm.
A 20 is going to succeed.
Nice. So they're frightened.
Yes.
Frightened 2, that is, right?
If you succeed a normal demoralize, it's frightened 1.
Yes.
If you succeed the fear spell, no,
Ah.
if they fail the save against the fear
Yeah.
spell, it's frightened.
Okay.
2.
So they're
So,
frightened 1.
They're frightened 1. Okay. And with my third action, I will chuck a vial of holy water at them. And that's... Oh, my rolls are so bad. But unfortunately... I mean...
Get them all out. All the bad ones out in the beginning.
Yeah, I'll leave it. I just thought about hero pointing that as well. No, but I'll leave it. It's a miss, so for it's a total of 12 on the die. So, I mean, or a total roll of 12. So I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna throw it next to him, and he'll still get some splash damage, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
So I roll damage here anyway, and you get the splash.
They get the splash.
Perfect.
All right, that's 3.
That's my turn.
Gigi.
All right. So I guess I was noticing these creatures first, and I would also love to try to figure out what they are weak to.
Yes, please. Give me a religion roll.
It's just religion?
It's religion unless you have any lore that might be fitting specifically, like shadow lore, undead lore, ghost lore, these kind of things.
No. I was just hoping to maybe use Arcana to understand which spells might be effective against them, but
sadly no.
I guess it's religion.
Yeah. And do give me your question. You wanted to know their weaknesses or something else?
Very similar, exactly what Sappho tried to figure out.
They have no specific weaknesses.
Okay, that's good to know.
All right, I guess that's all what it is. I will try to cast Floating Flame.
Yes.
And see if that does anything. That should have placed it directly on the enemy, basically.
Yes.
So I'm casting this fiery orb on the enemy, and since they are in it, they have to roll, or they get hit. And that thing's as Dex, they basic reflex.
You're doing it to the one that is in melee with Giovanni, correct? No, the other one.
No, the one in front of Tippler.
The frightened one.
Yes.
That is going to be a 27, so they do succeed but take half damage.
That would be 7 of 3d6 fire damage.
You see that they take less damage than you would have wanted, but they still do take some damage.
Guess that's something.
Any damage is damage.
That is my turn.
Following that is going to be the frightened shadow. It is going to close in with Tippler and then try to hit with their shadowy claw. It's going to be a 25 to hit Tipp.
Yep, that's a hit.
As you've seen, that's going to be 9 points of damage. And as you've seen with Giovanni, they grab an essence inside of you as well and start pulling away your shadow, which makes you enfeebled 1. That is our shadow's turn. We're going back to Giovanni.
Giovanni took a pretty big hit from this ghost and also is feeling kind of a bit weak and something's missing. So first thing Giovanni will do is patch himself up a bit, just quickly gathering up some of the floating water droplets and kind of like sealing up the wound in his chest that the spirit left with a Ocean's Balm on himself. It's gonna be 2d8 worth of healing for a total of 6. Anyway, so Giovanni is feeling slightly a bit better. He's definitely still a bit injured, but not the worst. After that, Giovanni, he noticed the holy water was working. He's thinking, okay, these ghosts seem to be susceptible to the same kind of stuff that the goblinish ghouls we fought in the caves were susceptible to. They might be undead creatures. Ghosts sound like undead creatures, at least to Giovanni they do. So Giovanni will attempt the same thing that worked so well on these ghouls and channel the energy of life itself that's within the floating flowers in his aura and kind of extract the life force from some of the roses that instantly willed to create like a spear of pure vitality force and shove it right into the ghost in front of him. With a melee 1-action elemental blast, this time attempting vitality damage. Gonna roll for the hit, which is a 20 on the die. Let's go! Natural 20 for a crit.
Beautiful. That is a crit.
Alright, now let's just hope that this kind of damage actually does anything. As I roll my damage die, which is gonna be a 2 on the die for a total of 5, but that would be doubled because of the crit.
Your hunch was correct, as they take all of the damage.
Alright, that's pretty good. How does the ghost react to it? Is it like getting massively injured by it, or is it kind of shrugging it off?
It took it as regular
amount.
Yeah, so it took it as regular damage, but most of the times you see that it took less damage than you would have expected. This hit fully, so they do take damage from this, but as Jiji already found out, they don't have a weakness to this.
Well, that could have been false information, so,
I trust Jiji.
True.
Anything Jiji says is law. Alright, and then with his last action, Giovanni kind of not wanting the same thing that just happened to him to repeat and having another hole in his chest and another piece of himself ripped out, will just raise his shield. And that's Giovanni's turn.
Which is a very smart thing to do, because they are right after you, and they indeed do want to keep hitting you and try to pull your shadow out. Especially now that you hit them with something that actually hurts. This is going to still hit with a 29 on Giovanni.
Well, as long as it's not a crit.
Not a crit, which is the important part. You take 8 points of damage, and they start pulling even further. You move to enfeebled 2, and their shadow is almost out of your body. As you can see it in the hand of the shadow pulling it, nearly detached. You're fairly certain. One more hit and one more pull, and your shadow is gone. They are gonna hit you again, or try to hit you again, though they can't pull your shadow again this turn, or this round. That's going to be a critical miss because of your shield.
It's a shame Giovanni is not trained enough in combat to take advantage of that.
Maybe one day. And I think you all kind of see this, it's not a horror show, but it's definitely terrifying to see a creature pulling someone else's shadow, because you don't know what that means when that shadow is out. Sappho.
Well, this is all very, very unfortunate. And they're so far away from me as well.
And still no Nualia.
So, I will walk up next to Giovanni, because he doesn't look super well, and I just want to give him some protection.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, you get 1+ bonus to armor class and saving throws. And I will also keep up the Courageous Anthem. And that's because Protection is a 2-action spell, and that's already my turn. Oh wait,
Yes.
I can't use the Courageous Anthem. Please undo this because I walked. Oh no. Well, I think saving Giovanni's soul might be more important than a Courageous
Yeah,
Anthem.
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Anthem has
Please,
60 feet
please.
range anyways, right? Oh.
Yes, but they need an action to
But
sustain it.
I needed to
That's it, you meant.
Yes, and I needed to get to you to actually cast Protection. And so there's that. And walking.
Is that Sappho's turn?
Yes, that is.
Tipp. They saved you some time. They got a spit towards you.
Yeah, that was the plan. Just annoy it so it would walk up to me and I don't have to waste an action on walking to it. Because now
That
I
worked.
get to use an action to designate it as my hunted prey. And then
Perfect.
I will twin strike it with my hammer in one hand and holy water in the other. For the hammer,
Oh, this one should, I believe, no longer be frightened because that was in your turn, correct? Like,
correct,
more or less.
yes. That's a 14, and I will hero point that because I really need to get this
Yep.
thing down. And while I have them, may as well use them. But that's a 17 on the die for a total of
That's-
27. That's a critical hit. That was worth the hero point, I'd say.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
And then for the holy water strike, I will try and just smash the bottle on his head for another 25 for a regular hit. Very good.
Hits.
So damage for the hammer would be 8 points of damage.
Which they take fully
Ah,
since you have your
ghost oil.
Ghost oil.
Very good. And for the holy water damage, that would be a total of... Okay, so for 6 damage.
Technically, splash is all around where you
Mhm.
hit. So technically, you would be in the splash zone of your holy water.
But there's this Holy Water can damage only creatures with the Unholy trait.
Oh, true.
That's
Never mind.
what it says in Foundry.
Yeah, my bad. You don't take the splash damage. Unless you are unholy, which I believe you
mean,
are not.
Tippler
Tip,
definitely
are you
has
unholy?
some unholy
this how we
thoughts of what he
find
wants
out?
to do to Scarnetti, but, you know, that's a whole other deal. So, no, in that case,
As long as you haven't declared yourself in front of the gods as being
No.
unholy, you are not holy,
I
neither
have
unholy.
not done that. I'm just a regular nature spirit. So, yeah, I don't take the splash damage, and I deal, what is it then? A total of 14 this round, though. Total of
Yes.
14 damage this round. Good. Well,
So-
that's 2 of my actions, however, because Twin Strike is only 1 action. So I'll just follow it up with another
Mhm.
strike from my hammer. And that...
The dedication is also a free action?
Sorry?
The designating of the...
Yeah, the designation of an animal.
Hunted prey.
is 1 action. Twin Strike is 1 action. And
Ah, right. I keep forgetting that the twin
Yeah,
strike is like
that's
one
why
action.
it's so
because
good.
It's too bold.
Rangers
That's why
get
it's so good.
so many
Exactly.
hits.
for a nat 1 and a critical miss on my second strike, unfortunately.
That's fine. Just quick question. Who told me that they actually are not unholy?
Faye.
Thank you. Hero point.
Oh. I take that.
Good eyes. Good eyes for your party members.
It felt unnatural that the holy water would deal damage to us, right? That's why I questioned it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. My mind was like, well, bombs work this way, and I just forgot.
I didn't
how
question it because I thought, yeah, that's just
special bombs
Pathfinder.
work.
So,
Maybe it's,
Pathfinder can
Exactly.
be weird sometimes.
but yeah, okay.
maybe it's just
That's my
but
turn.
that's-
That's my turn, yes.
All right, we're going to Jiji.
All right. I will spend 1 action to sustain my sphere and move
Yep.
that. Oh,
I moved it.
There we go. I move it basically directly on top of the spirit. So if the spirit would stay pulling Tipp, it will continuously take damage.
Yes.
Kind of like incentivizing it to let go of like the shadow pulling. And I need another basic reflex save from it.
They rolled a 14, which is a fail.
That means they take the full 14 damage.
They take quite a lot of it, not all of it, but quite a lot of it, as they are by now dead.
Wow,
Nice.
great. One down.
Well done.
One down. That is a great thing to do. They are destroyed as undead do when they die, as they go back to being part of the regular shadow around you.
Does Tipp get his shadow back? Does it look like that?
Tipp has a partial shadow out, so if a different shadow, for example, would run and grab it, they still can, but it's not disconnected. You don't know what exactly, if it's like time dependent, or like, do you need to figure out how to put their shadow back? But their shadow at the moment is just ever so slightly
So
off.
I'm still enfeebled 1.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like Tipp's shadow looks weird. I still
Not
have
as
2
weird as
actions.
Giovanni's, but yes.
True, Giovanni is further along. From where I'm standing, is Sappho giving cover to the other shadow? Because Sappho stepped
Technically
right
just
between
a
me.
technically just a 1 extra.
Because my
It's like
original
direct.
plan, basically, if you'll allow me with the new crafting rules, I would have access to all the alchemist formulas, right?
New alchemy rules are actually a little different. You would have access to anything that you buy, or some of the things that you can originally, like you get some of the rituals, not the rituals, the formulas with your dedication, but any other things that is not from your list you will need to buy. But you can buy the lowest level and you will automatically know the highest level until level 4, which is your level. It means you have access to a much higher level items, but you have less versatility during the day and you have less options. So these are the new remastered dedication. Since we haven't fully switched yet, we're gonna stick to what we had before.
That was what I was referring to, because you said the crafting rules of like basically I have the full list, but only the low level, right?
That is the previous rules. We haven't updated them yet. So we're going to stick to that because we haven't updated them to the full one. So yes.
So would I have bombs that I haven't used before accessible or not? Is basically what I'm asking. Because then I would very much like to use the quick alchemy to create a ghost charge.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining Jiji just really in like hyperspeed, just mixing things together and throwing it basically as it's still
That
being
is
mixed.
basically the quick
That's how
alchemy. I'm using this like pre-imbued that I vial that I prepared in the morning, and adding some containers to it for the ghost charge. Specifically, it is a mixture of chemicals and salts that drain and disintegrate nearby undead creatures.
Yes.
So that feels very fitting for ghosts.
It's perfect for ghost. Yes.
And I would just like to throw that at the ghost, like behind Giovanni and Sappho.
Sure.
I would already have it drawn since I just created it. Basically, it is in my hand already.
Exactly. And then you can just use the strike for it. A 14 will sadly not hit. It does get the splash damage.
Throw around Sappho here, so I can imagine that is a bit tricky. But yeah, it would take the slash damage.
Yep.
And Sappho and Giovanni should not be affected because it is vitality damage.
Exactly. Not affected. That's the bomb I was thinking about. I believe you still have a single action because you created something and you threw it, which means you have one more.
The first action was to sustain.
You sustain your spell. That's true.
Yeah, that is my turn.
At the beginning of round 3, from the bones in front of Abstelar and Audrani rises a spirit, as if they came from a place full of pain. As they rise from the bones, you hear a piercing shriek, cry, yell, all of the above and between. Why am I here? As she is quite disoriented. You can now try to do one of two things in each of your turns. You can either continue to fight the shadow, and if any more of them appear, deal with them as well. Or you can try to speak with Nualia. In order to talk to Nualia, you have two options. You can either try to approach her or speak to her. And I will give you some optional skills, but you can also advocate for any others that might fit in your opinion, for specific lores, for example. And the more successful you are in speaking with Nualia, the higher you reach in likability cap, in your social caps with her. And the easier it will be to speak to her or to gather information and get information, the more likable this situation is. You can also try to learn some things about Nualia from your memories and from your conversation with, at the moment, Xanthus, who will be able to speak because Audrani can't. And these information can give you an option to know what to speak about to give you lower DCs to your convincing of Nualia. If you would like to try to gather information, it's going to be one action. And if you would like to try to converse with Nualia, it's going to be 2 actions. Which means you can actually divide your actions between fighting and convincing Nualia to speak to you and understand you. Giovanni, that's your turn.
Alright, so Nualia appearing and yelling barely gets a glance out of Giovanni because there is a scary ghost in front of him pulling his shadow off of his body, and is making Giovanni panic quite a lot. Like, what happens if you lose your shadow? People will just think you're weird. You will be unaesthetic without your shadow, probably less aesthetic. It's a very worrying situation. Giovanni's not like even completely thinking clearly anymore. He's just gonna do what he knows how to do best, and he just focuses onto his connection to the elemental planes and focuses on his aura and grows giant like vines of thorns and roses out of the ground, both below him and the ghost. Basically, as the plants appear below the ghost, he just extracts the vitality energy out of it to just attack the ghost with it, while he grows a big protective vines and roses around himself to hopefully stop the ghost from pulling more of his shadow out of his body. So mechanically that's gonna be a 1-action wood elemental blast, melee, same as the last time. And a protected tree on the space that Giovanni is. Oh, that's a 17 on the die. I just cannot roll below a 17 on my attacks right now, it seems.
Insane.
And so the 17 plus 11 is a 28 for another critical hit. So I'm gonna roll damage on the... That's a max damage roll as well for 2 times a d8 plus 6, 28 total damage.
That is massive. How do you want to do this?
And I think Giovanni just like takes his entire turn here, even though like he could after the blast in theory use the 2 actions in another way. He just like uses all his entire turn here to just completely focus on his kinetic gates and his ability to grow plants out of that connection. And he just like... Sappho probably like gets pushed back a bit as just like a huge rose and flower bush starts sprouting out of the ground all around Giovanni. Some parts of it like lashing straight into the ghost and turning into pure raw shining vitality energy as they just cut the spirit into pieces. And there's basically a huge rose encapsulating Giovanni in its petals, so Giovanni is just completely hidden as like one huge rose. How do you call it? Like one huge rose basically just encapsulates Giovanni, and he's like within the petals, so he's hidden from vision.
Beautiful. That was Giovanni's, I believe, first action or 2 actions?
Well, mechanically it was like a 1-action elemental blast and 2 actions to grow the bush, which Giovanni just did all in one, basically in one big thing.
Now, technically, at the moment, there are no shadows and only Nualia is here. However, things can still appear, which is why we're going to keep being an initiative. If you would like to delay or move your turn at any point for something else, you may. If you want to sustain some of your spells, for example, Jiji, if you would like to sustain your spell in case something appears, you can. Sappho.
Sappho, just when the first word by Nualia has been uttered, had directly diverted her attention towards her and is starting to speak in a calming voice because she wants to let Nualia know where she is. It's just talking about we've asked you to come here back to Sandpoint so that we, as the people of Sandpoint, might apologize for the treatment you received here. What Ezekin did to you was not right, and I'm just trying to give her comfort and then knowing of that we're not here to hurt her and we're not here to blame her, but to just
So effectively, the main skills you could use would be society, to remind her of her life in Sandpoint and that there were used to be even good parts of it. Religion, to note that it's not too late for her to make choices that might save her from being sent into the abyss once her soul is judged. Or any of the regular charismatic ones, the diplomacy, deception, and intimidation.
Well, because Sappho is weirdly bad at society and religion. She will definitely opt out for diplomacy. Is this something where I could do a spell again to help me with this role? Okay, some calming music?
If it's a single action, yes, because talking to Nualia is 2 actions.
No, it's sadly a 2 action spell, so I need to do this in the next round and try but I'll do diplomacy right now. A blind roll?
Open roll. You would see how she reacts. Your discovery rolls, the information rolls, will be blind, but if you would have to talk to her, it will be open.
Well, that is a 25.
25 is a success. You feel like you're making a single step forward. I'm gonna let you all know. When you reach a certain cap, Nualia is going to take over this communion and nothing else is going to appear. So you might want to invest in convincing her you're here on her side. Because it's going to also go to the other way around where she decides to leave. Or to call more things instead of herself. Any last actions from Sappho?
We'll just try to recall, with now have seen what happened to Giovanni and to Tipp and seeing their weird shadows. Mm-hmm. If there's anything knows about if this is just temporary or if we need to purify them at some point or anything like this.
You can give me a religion roll to try to figure that out.
As once again, I will use Bard because goddamn, because I don't know anything about religion. Feels like I might just forgot. I would roll a second time and take the higher because I'm using because I think this is important.
Sure.
My Lore Master's Etude, which is Bard. Oh wow, words are bad today.
So Sappho uses her little booklet and her knowledge about shadows, and she recalls something frightening. Shadows can steal other living creatures' shadows to create more shadows. Meaning, had they fully pulled out one of these shadows from Tippler or from Giovanni, you would have an additional enemy to fight. You also know that if a creature that their shadow has been taken out dies, the shadow is fully disconnected from the body and becomes a full-fledged autonomous shadow. However, if a creature recovers from an enfeebled condition by resting or by some time passing on, their shadow returns to its original state if it wasn't fully taken out. So you think it's a matter of time rested and reducing their enfeebled condition by just spending some resources to heal and calm and go back to resting mode.
Okay, Sappho will just, there's a crease between her brows. When she thinks about it, it's just like, the shadow tried to make kind of a baby with you, and you should really take some rest later on.
That's one way of saying it, sure.
It's probably read it in somewhere where it is like weirdly in a poet book written this way, where it's like, oh yeah.
Probably.
The new spawn on anything, and that's just in this hot second of how Sappho has remembered it.
That will be Sappho's turn. On Tippler's turn, is he trying to do any communications or learning about Nualia?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to fight or nothing else to do, so I may as well try.
True. If you would like to learn more things about Nualia, it will be either demon lore, society, or perception, and the other skills would be to communicate with her.
So one action to gather information, right? Then I would do that first with perception.
You think about what you know about Nualia, what you remember about her from all the stories that someone may have told you before. You understand that Nualia has grown angry and spiteful from the time that she has been in Sandpoint and how things ended up. And you feel like if you try to talk to her about any mentionings of her foster father, for example, or any things about like her past, the painful parts of it, you're actually going to have a harder time convincing her. Meaning, if you try to appeal to her painful past or any mentions of her father, your DC is higher to convince her.
Okay. And how far...
Essentially, avoid that topic.
And how far would you let me share that with the group? Because...
Fairly easy. It's like you're sharing recall knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, but she's right here. So it's a bit like, hey, don't talk about her father while, like, it's a bit weird talking about her while she's present, right?
You can always try to do the other way around of like, hey, maybe try to stick to these areas and like hinting to avoid others. But essentially, you get the chance to share that with your party members. Okay. So you will all be aware of it.
Just like, avoid the painful stuff. Avoid the painful stuff.
Also, for example, yes.
And everyone knows Nualia's basic past, so they could kind of come to their own conclusions what that one might be.
Yes.
Okay, cool. For communicating with her, remind me what I would roll.
There is society to remind her of the good parts of her past. There's religion to appeal to her afterlife. Diplomacy, deception, or intimidation. DCs are different between things, but you would not know which is easier and which is less.
Wait, I can intimidate her? How would...
There's no reason why you won't be able to try to intimidate someone into understanding that you're doing the right thing and they need to listen to you.
As much as I want to do that just because it's my highest roll, I don't feel like that's really Tippler's thing. Because this is not like someone he sees as a hostile person or someone who needs to be intimidated to do what he wants. So I'll go with religion nonetheless.
Yeah, that is an additional success.
Nice.
You feel like if you manage to convince her just a little more, she will be able to fully listen to what you're having and have a conversation. That will be Tippler's full turn. Jiji.
Alright. Since I did get that info from Tipp, is there anything else that I could gain from, like, recalling knowledge?
A lot, yes. You can get a lot of information from trying to think about what like you would know. There are multiple categories. You got what was called resistances, things that she will be resisting if you bring up.
All right. I'm gonna let my spell fall. I think it is not relevant to sustain here for any potential enemies and rather focus on talking to her. And basically use my first action to recall. I guess maybe then the positive things of like plus points, like the opposite of what Tipp tried to find out. What would I roll for that?
Between society, perception, or demon lore. I don't know, any of the three.
Not in society.
You think about what would actually make her more approachable. You understand that if talking about her foster father, she's going to be infuriated. If you actually condemn her foster father for what he did, like talking about him in general will make her upset, but if you actually start condemning what he did to her, she will actually listen more, which will make your DCs lower.
All right. And talking to her, I could also use society?
Yes.
Then I would love to do that. I think that's my best role here.
If you're approaching for condemning her foster father?
I definitely try to do that.
Yeah, then you can give me an open roll of society, please.
I'm basically saying of like what he did and what the townspeople did to you back then. It's terrible. No one should go through that. And like, I mean, look at us, look at me. There are people who understand you, who feel you. Like goblins have been shunned too. And the society is slowly moving forward and no one should go through what you have been through.
With a third success, you reach the first cap, which will actually let her listen to you and connect into this communion. But we're actually going to have the conversation with Nualia and this whole communion on our next session, as she starts understanding that you appeal into her side and opens with a single line that catches all of your attentions. She's still upset, she's still speaking with anger, but she says, I'm willing to listen, and I hope you will be willing to listen to me as well, because otherwise this town will burn with everyone in it. And that's where we're going to end today's session.
Well, damn.
That's one final statement.
At least we still have shadows.
Well,
All of us? I mean,
yes,
I have like a third of,
one has only...
third of a shadow.
Barely.
Yes. We can fix it. You just need to stop smooching with the shadow creatures.
sleep it off.
Just
It's gonna
stop
be fine.
that.
Oh, Giovanni is not coming out of his huge rose that he has made. No, he's probably gonna come out.
How
He's
did this
gonna have to
again
come out.
end up with like flirting with the shadow creatures? How did we go from like fighting them to this again?
Well, apparently because they create more shadows if they pull them out of you. In Sappho's eyes, it is making babies with shadows.
Yeah.
I promise you, it was a poem that just said that, like, the shadows create the new, like, and it was like, oh, that's like, you know, when you make a baby. The birds and the
Was it
bees.
by any chance undead erotica?
Potentially. There's so many things she has read just for the sake of like, oh, I mean, at least I should give it a try. What if there's something really interesting in the like rhythm of
Sappho
this
totally
here,
read
or
that
the
for the
pattern?
knowledge aspect of things. Absolutely.
And the rhythm.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, Sappho actually would. They not. Sappho would.
Oh man.
Well, we're gonna learn more about Nualia and the undead erotica next session.
Can we
I
not learn
think.
more about the Underdog?
Yeah,
next
can we
session,
not?
please?
It's up to you where to chime in.
No, I strongly veto
Nah,
that.
it's just for research purposes. It's fine.
Yes, exactly.
Well.
All right. But thank you everyone for playing
Thank you.
today.
Thank you for DMing.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
See you guys all next time. Bye.
See you in a
Bye-bye.
week.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
listening. Bye.
Have a good one. Bye bye.
Red Sun Rising is made by Of Dice and Dinner, produced under the Paizo Incorporated Community Use Policy. Red Sun Rising uses trademarks and or copyrights owned by Paizo Inc., used under Paizo's fan content policy at paizo.com/licenses/fan content. Red Sun Rising is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, visit paizo.com. Original characters and content are the property of Dice and Dinner. Our podcast intro-outro theme is made by Frieda, Melando, and Shachar Bieber. Of Dice and Dinner is happy to be in touch, and our email is the best way to do so. That's ofdiceanddinnerpodcast@gmail.com.